Hi everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Risk with Dr. Naveen Agarwal, where each week we talk about a topic related to risk management of medical devices. I'm your host, Naveen Agarwal, principal and founder at Achieve, where my personal mission is to help you achieve success in risk management. In this episode, I'm joined by Alexej Agibalow, who is based in Germany and a risk management expert. He has been thinking a lot about interfacing the clinical evaluation with risk management. And those of you who are involved in the risk management process in the medical device industry know that EU-MDR is the new regulation in Europe, and it emphasizes risk management greatly and suggests a clear integration between clinical evaluation and risk management. So we talked about this topic as part of a LinkedIn live audio event in front of a live audience. You're about to hear a recording of our conversation. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alexej and I connected on LinkedIn again about a year ago, and we have had many conversations along the way. I really admire Alexej's passion for risk management, always coming out with new ideas, new questions, and always willing to learn and share his insights. So with that, I'm actually going to just invite Alexej to say a few things about himself, his personal journey, career milestones, and introduce himself to you. So Alexej, hello and welcome again.
Hi, good evening. At first, thank you, Naveen, for having me here. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about such an interesting topic that basically affects everybody that has something to do with the MDR. Yeah, a few words about myself. My background is in medical engineering. Currently, I'm in the northern part of Germany, in Lübeck, working with Dräger and also employed at Essentia, working there as a risk management expert and consultant. Pretty early in my career, I began with being found in the position of the process owner for risk management for a pretty large medical device manufacturer. And there I had a lot of questions also about the interfaces because the risk management there was quite engineer driven and the interfaces were not as developed as they should be. And so I got into conversations with a lot of different experts from different fields, such as usability, clinical, and everything. And I just found myself in a situation where I had a pretty good understanding of risk management itself, but I have seen that the interfaces, the other people just struggle to connect their processes and their needs with risk management. So we all knew that we have to talk to each other and we know that we have to exchange information. But the thing is, we didn't know how. And with the MDR being issued, this issue became much more present. And since then we are talking about it. We're trying to clear those issues up and face those challenges together.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about that today in a lot more detail. But, I just thought about this. You're in Germany, and it's Friday evening, right? So it's amazing for you to be able to just talk about this. And I know you have had a long day. We were talking about this just before coming live to the show, that you already had a long day of workshop. So again, I appreciate you again coming in and sharing your thoughts. So guys, EU-MDR is a big deal in our industry. This is a new regulation that has come up in Europe, and everyone is trying to figure it out how to do things in the future. Risk is Alexej, correct me if I'm wrong, more than 250 times or about 250 times it's mentioned in the regulation now. Risk, the term risk or risks, risk management.
A lot, Naveen.
A lot. So basically a lot. So risk is a big deal, right? So we're all trying to figure it out, and we have done things in a certain way. We have practiced risk management in a certain way. And as Alexej is talking about, now we have to worry about interfaces to do it right. That's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to get the ball rolling by reading to you this item number 33 in the introduction section of EU-MDR. Think of it as like a preamble to QSR. That's, my common sense understanding. Very interesting statement. The risk management system should be carefully aligned with and reflected in the clinical evaluation for the device, including the clinical risks to be addressed as part of clinical investigations, clinical evaluation, and post-market clinical follow-up. The risk management and clinical evaluation processes should be interdependent and should be regularly updated. So regulation is telling us we have to treat them as interdependent processes. So Alexej, start by telling us what a clinical evaluation is in the first place.
At first, I completely agree with EU-MDR, but they don't tell us how. I completely agree with every statement that you just read, but the thing is how. The clinical evaluation, I'm a risk manager. I'm not an expert by any means in clinical evaluation. Whenever I look onto the interface, I'm getting myself a clinical affairs manager who is a much better expert than I am in clinical evaluations. But the clinical evaluation itself is a process which generates, collects, and evaluates clinical data to verify safety and performance of the device, of medical devices.
Got you. So that is the evidence. Like, you can claim whatever you want to claim about safety and effectiveness, but until you show clinical data, we cannot prove that, right? That's what it means. Common sense.
Yeah,
that's what clinical evaluation is.
That's a good summary, yeah.
Wonderful. So tell me, like nearly 1 year ago, you started thinking about this interface between risk management and clinical evaluation. And I know you shared your thoughts on LinkedIn, which to my mind were very awesome. And there was a lot of discussion about that. Because this, as you said, nobody tells you how to do it. And you started thinking about it. You started sharing your ideas. Can you walk us through a little bit about that history about 1 year ago? What were you thinking about the interface between the two?
The thing is, as I said, many manufacturers, when we're looking at the risk management files, they're quite engineering driven. So they're mostly looking at design, they're mostly looking at reliability and failures. And not many risk management files actually look at the application of medical device. But in the end of the day, we all are dealing with medical devices and they want to be applied. They want to bring a benefit to the patient. Mm-hmm. And that's actually what is happening in the clinical evaluation. And when I found myself in the situation thinking about that intersection and talking to clinical affairs managers, we saw that we have a lot of intersections, but that there are still a few differences in the clinical evaluation process and in risk management. So it's like they're not completely the same the way they're looking at risks. And that's actually a really large problem when you want to combine them or to have to create an interface.
Got you. So you felt at that time that they were treated as kind of two separate processes. People were doing some stuff in clinical affairs, people were doing some stuff in risk management, and we really wanted to think about how to interconnect the two, right? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, I mean, the clinical evaluation process has always looked at harms. We are looking at harms, so why do double work?
Yeah.
So why having two processes looking basically at the same things and having such an inconsistency going on with the technical documentation?
Mm-hmm. So,
and that's what we wanted to clear up. Sorry.
Got you. So when I read your first sort of mind mapping, I call it mind mapping. You produce a mind map, you shared some ideas, and I felt that you were trying to talk about two different types of risks: procedure risk, which is the medical procedure risk, and the device risk. Can you tell us a little bit about, what is the difference between the two? Is there any relationship in your mind?
There is a very important thing to say. Medical procedure risks or procedure risks. This is a term that Sarah and we have defined it for ourselves. It's not a term that is mentioned somewhere in regulations and you can look up the definitions. Mm-hmm. So whenever you hear somebody talking about medical procedure risks or device-related risks, ask them at first for their own interpretation of how they define this term. Mm-hmm. But we ourselves have said the clinical evaluation, it looks at the medical procedure itself. So it wants to know, is the medical procedure safe? Is it effective? Are there alternative treatments that are maybe better or worse? Is my medical device actually producing the medical need that I wanted to cover? And the risk management file, according to ISO 14971, it doesn't look at the medical device procedure. It looks more at the device itself and how it contributes to the procedure and what the interfaces to other devices are. Mm-hmm. So that's why we have started to split those things up. On the one hand, you have the medical procedure risks or the procedure-related risks. Those are risks that have no connection to the medical device itself. Mm-hmm. So basically, when you're, for example, looking at an implant and you want to have an implant implanted, you're going to have some risks, for example, out of anesthesia. because the medical device, because the procedure itself must be done under anesthesia, and the patient can get, a harm out of that.
Gotcha.
And the device-related risks are like risks that are directly tied to the medical device itself. And I don't mean that fault must happen so that the device can cause a risk. Those are all risks that are tied to the medical device. So as we know, the ISO 14971 says that risks can occur not only in failure mode and fault condition, but also in the normal condition itself.
Sure.
So everything that you can find like connected to the device, we have put under the category device-related risks.
Got you. And if I understand you correctly, Alexej, you were probably trying to represent your understanding of how things are practiced in the industry today on the clinical side and the medical device side, risk management. You were trying to figure out how to describe those and then try to connect the two. And you came up with these terminologies, and it's good that you have explained that. I don't want the people in the audience to feel like we are defining new terms. We are just, I think what I'm understanding you to say that you are trying to explain how it is being done today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is really no definition. There's no guidance on how to connect these processes. I mean, there's intention, there's a requirement that we have to, but nobody tells us how. And At first, when I tried to understand how the connection could look like, I understood, I don't have any clue about what a clinical evaluation is and how it's done. So I got myself an expert, in this case, Sarah Panton, and she explained to me, this is what I do day by day. This is how my clinical evaluation looks like. I told her what I'm doing in risk management, and then we saw, basically we both care about safety, but we have a slightly different understanding in risks, basically. And we have to distinguish there on which process handles what.
Got you. But you guys came up with actually a mind map, right? You came up with a map that showed this interface. Can you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, and then we tried to distinguish, because we've seen a lot of keywords that the MDR gave us for normal condition, normal use, correct use error, and we somehow tried to connect all of them. And when we posted this, a lot of people came out and a lot of people commented, and we got so many awesome reactions, and it basically validated our approach. It told us, or the people told us, yeah, we know that there is a problem. We agree with you, but we don't agree with your approach yet. So we are still learning every day, and we are still trying to improve this interface. And it just shows us that there is no one solution that fits everybody or fits every manufacturer. And as today, we had again a workshop with Sarah Panton and Markus Pöttger about the interfaces of clinical evaluation, risk management, and post-market surveillance. And we were sitting entire day discussing those interfaces, and we didn't come to a solution, because there are so many challenges that we have to face, and a lot of misunderstanding in the industry right now.
Mm-hmm. So the good news is that you have started working on it. You are collaborating, and you are reaching out to other experts. But before I go into the open session, Alexej, could you summarize very quickly what are some of the key elements, key features of this interface that you are proposing at this point of time? And I know you have written an article. I know you have published on LinkedIn, and everybody in the audience, I will actually put a link to that article in the notes for this particular discussion. You will find it there. But Alexej, could you please just give us a high-level summary, a snapshot, 2 or 3 key features of this interface that you are proposing?
The most important interface of the most important point of the interface is to talk, to discuss. Like I said, there is no one-fits-all solution. So the best thing you can do to not completely change your entire process and quality management system, just make a meeting with your clinical affairs manager, sit together at a table, have a drink maybe, and talk about your processes. How can you connect them? How can you really benefit from each other? And then you also have to understand that you maybe have a different scope than them. You are looking at the medical device itself. You are looking not only at patients, users, you're looking also at third. You're looking at the entire life cycle of a medical device. And the clinical affairs manager is looking only at the application. He's only caring about the medical purpose the medical device delivers. He's caring about user and about the patient safety. So the scope of the clinical evaluation is much, much narrower than your scope from the risk management perspective.
That's an awesome point. So I think I could extend that logic and say, even before you start design and development, wouldn't it be nice to have a conversation with them and recognize the potential hazardous situations from a clinical point of view? Right? I think that would make a lot of sense to have this conversation even early on. So I think the key point you are telling us, hey, talk to other people, collaborate more, have a cross-functional dialogue, engagement with other experts. Don't do it in isolation, right? That's what I'm hearing you say.
Totally. And it doesn't only apply to risk management clinical evaluation. I mean, we have the same issue with usability. We have the same issue with post-market surveillance.
So,
people are not talking enough when it comes to the right things.
so to me, I have talked to several people in these conversations now. And just, a few weeks ago, we talked to John Ward about system safety and a systems approach. I think we are beginning to understand the need for treating this as a system. And we are so focused on our individual processes, our individual elements, that sometimes we forget the interconnections and interfaces. And that's a key point you were highlighting again. So it's very consistent with what I'm hearing with other people. So thank you, Alexej, for this great overview. And again, these things are going to be like an informal conversation. So at this point of time, guys, I want to open the floor to invite you. And again, you guys know the drill, how it works. Please find a way to request and be invited. I think that you have to go to your profile photo and you will see that small circle with 3 dots. And just raise your hand and I will bring you on stage. Don't wait for your turn. Please raise your hand now and I'll bring everybody one by one on stage. We can have up to 10 people, I believe. So please go ahead. And Ed, I want to welcome you. Please unmute your mic and share what you have in mind.
Yes, Naveen, this is a particularly interesting conversation. And Alexej, thanks for bringing this up. In 14971 in Clause 5, we talk about one of the inputs is intended use, intended purpose. And that's where the clinical problem comes in, is we intend our device to be used for a certain use and purpose. However, when we give the device to our customer, we have lost control and we don't have the ability to regulate that intended use and intended purpose. And people do things that are outside what we anticipate they're going to do. And then we have these issues come up, these safety issues. It's outside the manufacturer's control to be able to make the user only follow the intended use and intended purpose that's inside the device, I guess, documentation, but also the way we designed this device and what its purpose is for. Mm-hmm. So that exposes us to some issues caused by people that think, oh, this is a great device. I can use this to do something else. And now we have, with the MDR especially, issues that we have to address with the notified bodies, the competent authorities, and so on, because the user didn't follow our, I guess I'll call it instructions on how the device is supposed to be used. And we end up with problems. And that makes problems for the clinical evaluation people as well, following up on this. So it's a whole interesting area. At 14971, we realized that we did not have control after that device was given to the user. And so that's why if you look in the scope of the regulation or of the standard, we avoid the clinical use of the device. We do not we don't regulate it, but we cannot establish requirements for the user because we don't have control in that arena.
Got
and
you.
I'll be quiet.
No, this is a great point. So I think what you're articulating, Ed, is the way the standard is written. And in the real world, we have to collaborate, like Alexej said, with other folks to make it work at the device level in the user environment. So that's great. Thank you, Ed, for sharing that. Isha, I want to welcome you. And please unmute your mic, introduce yourself a little bit, and share what you have in mind.
Hello, everyone. This side Isha. I'm working previously I was working with Carlstone Endoscopy. Right now I am working with SSI Innovation. That is an organization who is building the robot, which is completely made in India and making in India. So which sort of problem we are facing? Like we have designed everything over there, and the problem is from the user side. Like the operator is not running it well, the arms collided, or the grounding is not proper in the OT. So how to calculate the risk and manage the risk at that time? This is my main question over there. Like I'm in the OT and observing the surgeries over there.
Interesting.
And, yeah, all these things just I want to know.
Interesting, Isha. So let me take a stab at that because I've thought about these situations in the context of 14971 and just what Ed was describing. First thing that you should realize that you're doing the right thing by developing a good understanding of how the device is being used. You're understanding the different situations, the scenarios in which problems can happen. I would say to you, and again, we can focus on this topic in our future conversations, but I would say to you, make an inventory of what you're learning first before jumping into estimating the risk. Understand them carefully, understand them well, talk to the experts, the user who's going to be using these devices. Get a variety of feedback and make an inventory of different scenarios in which you might find these problems. Don't jump into risk estimation right away. First and I know it might be kind of, that's what we're supposed to do, so why wait? Well, wait a little bit before you understand what the hazardous situations and harms are. First understand that linkage and then do the analysis part, the estimation part later. So Isha, we will focus on these things in future conversations. Today, we want to stay focused on this interface between clinical and risk management. So with that, I want to thank you for participating. And I want to invite Florian for sharing his thoughts.
Hi, I'm Florian. Thanks for inviting me. So I heard Alex talk about the clinical risk and potential definition. I also saw your posts on LinkedIn and also commented on that. So I have a question and maybe a request to the audience listening today. And I don't know how that could be organized, but I would be very, very interested in feedback regarding, is there a need for a definition for the term clinical risk? Like an official definition, not an MDR, because that would be too hard. But as some of you might know, there is an ISO standard for clinical evaluation in the making. And I see the potential to introduce a definition for clinical risk into that standard. So if you guys think, and many people out there think that it would be necessary, then I would welcome the feedback. And we could try to really introduce a real definition that everybody could rely on.
So, Florian, let me clarify. Are you working on that ISO standard, or are you just aware of?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wonderful. So that'll be a way to give you feedback so you can take that to the working committee, right?
Exactly, yes.
Perfect.
So, as you know, I would go even further, and I would love to see in the standard the same flowchart that the usability standard is giving us. I would love to see a connection between the ISO 4971 process flowchart, and the clinical evaluation. This would clear up a lot of things.
Wow. So it looks like we are doing some matchmaking here, guys. Alexej and Florian, let's connect and start talking about this.
We've already talked about the topic, and I'm very, very, very thankful that Florian is taking the approach to collect a lot of feedback from the industry, because basically that's what we need. Understanding the needs from the industry and getting them into the standards.
I'm just loving this, guys. Thank you, Florian, for sharing that. And again, we won't get to an answer yes or no, but what you are bringing up is a great point, and that's the value of these conversations, right, guys? We are connecting with each other, and we are trying to figure out how to work, across geographies, across industries. So thank you for sharing that with us. Yes, Ed, go ahead, please.
I want to ask Florian to think about making 14971 a normative reference in your standard, much like we've done in all the others. And one of the things that we have to understand is that all of the risks need to go into 14971 for management, because in clause 9, we talk about overall residual risk, and that means everything. Well, we're talking about AI and machine learning and cybersecurity and biocompatibility and electrical safety. And now if we add clinical risk in there, that needs to be incorporated into the overall residual risk in clause 9 of 14971. So if you can possibly consider making 14971 a normative reference, and then constructing, as Alexej said, that flow chart that shows how it all connects together, because that's really important for people. I'm a visual learner, and those flow charts are very valuable. So thank you.
So Florian, I don't want to put you on the spot, but could you just, and again, you don't have to answer at all, but this is good feedback. Could you, I was not aware of your work. Could you just give us an overall view of, what you guys are doing and what is sort of your plan?
Well, yes, of course, but there's not so much that I can tell you so far. So the working group was launched last November. So there was a first draft, but during the last meeting that was at the beginning of this week, the draft was pretty much thrown away, and we started all over. And yeah, I mean, the intention is to create an international standard for clinical evaluation, because as you know, right now we have the European perspective with MEDEF 271, which is a very strong one. There's also an IMDRF document on clinical evaluation, but there's no standard. And some people saw the need for it, so it was kicked off. And
so I think
now we're working.
You're on a long road ahead, and I wish you all the best. I know Bijan has requested to speak, so I'm going to invite him to share his thoughts.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes. Welcome,
Okay.
Bijan.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. Hi, Florian, Bijan here. Good to hear you're working on this standard. I'm curious, do you have a number for the standard yet?
Yes, it's 18969.
It's going to be called an ISO standard?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. And then just a small remark for Alexej. Hello, Alexej. We worked with each other before. I'm glad to hear of the work you're doing, and this is a common problem across industry, the connection between clinical evaluation, risk management, and post-market surveillance. And it is recognized there's duplications. And so one of the things that on my side people are trying to do is to try to synchronize them in time so that they can reuse the same kinds of investigations, literature searches, things like that, and not have to repeat it. And the synchronization, it makes sense because when you do a literature search, it's fresh now. But if you wait 6 months from now, it may not be fresh and you have to refresh it. So it makes sense to just do it all at once. But it requires some synchronization and coordination inside the company to do that.
Nice. So again, you were emphasizing the need for cross-functional collaboration, having systems and processes in place that promote this collaboration so we don't, redo the work or waste effort. So guys,
yes,
thank you again. This was wonderful. As always, I truly appreciate this conversation. I'm personally energized. I don't know about you guys, but I'm personally energized. Those of you who didn't get a chance to come up on stage, please share your feelings using the react button. Let me know how you're feeling about this. And I want to thank everybody, and particularly Alexej, for coming up and sharing his thoughts with us. Ed, you are always a great resource of information and knowledge, and Bijan, Florian, awesome conversation. Guys, a couple of programming notes. Next week, I will not have this live discussion because I have a personal commitment and I won't be able to organize this. But the week after, we will continue after that. Know that the recordings of past sessions are available on my website, and the link to that is available in the featured section on my profile. So if you go to my profile, you can link up and look up your past recordings, which we are producing slowly. So it'll take us a while to bring everything in sync. But those are the two programming notes I wanted to share with you. Finally, most important, reach out to me one-on-one anytime to give me your feedback. Tell me what you guys are interested in talking about. Tell me what's top of mind for you. And if you want to participate as a guest speaker, the invitation is open. So this is no stress, no preparation, nothing, right? It's very casual. So reach out to me one-on-one anytime. With that, I want to thank all of you again, our guest speaker and our audience members who came on our stage to share their thoughts. Guys, have a good weekend ahead, and we will connect in 2 weeks from now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.